A late penalty converted by Kylian Mbappe after a VAR intervention gives Paris Saint-Germain a 1-1 draw at home to Newcastle. Jules, let's get right to the point.
Yeah.
Was it the correct call from the referee, Marciniak, who looked at it on the screen after he was called over by the VAR, Kwiatkowski?
No, I think we all agree that it wasn't a penalty, that the ball hit Livramento chest and then his arm. Mr. Rosselli, who is the chief of the UEFA referees.
Or Rossetti, actually, to call him by his actual name.
What did I say?
Rosselli.
Sorry, I meant Rossetti. Had, I think, cleared this point very often in recent press conferences and speeches that you don't give a penalty for that anymore. And by the way, every similar incident that we had on Wednesday night, none of them were given. So we had a lot, actually, which was like absolute incredible coincidence, but all the similar body and then arm incident in the Wednesday games where none of them were given because clearly the instructions was repeated to the referee. So no, it was a wrong call. I understand the frustration from Newcastle fans. This should not have been a penalty. I think the goal on Hakimi halfway through the second half was a foul, and that was a penalty.
Hakimi thought so too.
That was not even looked at. And funnily enough, in France, all they talk about is the goal on Hakimi, not on the Livramento one. And in England, all they talk about is the Livramento one and not.
But it's funny because Kwiatkowski, there's a VAR, he was stood down for the game on Wednesday, which is pretty unusual because my instinct would be the onus has to be on the referee, Marciniak, ultimately, right? Because Kwiatkowski can flag it and say, oh, no, because Marciniak does not give the penalty.
He can't see it. From where he is, he cannot see it at all.
He does not see it. He signals to the players, let's see what VAR says. VAR sends them to the screen. And I think that's the issue. And I think, did you really express merit on the VAR process, we would need to do what they were telling each other. But I am disappointed that Marciniak gave the penalty. Because ultimately it's on him too.
Yeah, definitely. And decision aside, Gabi, of course, did you think that the draw was a fair result?
I mean, look, ultimately, you got to convert your chances and all the other stuff that we always say. But it seemed to me that this is a result that nobody found fair because Eddie Howe complained about the decision at the end, and Paris Saint-Germain will feel, and I'm just looking at numbers here. These are from StatsBomb, 4.22 expected goals versus 0.94, right. 31 shots on goal to 5, 7 shots on target to 2. I think there was an individual error very prominently in the Newcastle goal.
Yeah, again, your friend Donnarumma. Bradley Barcola, who drove me absolutely mad. And if you saw me on English television on Tuesday night commentating on this game and losing my shizzle completely, Bradley Barcola on his own, and he played 28 minutes, 28 or 35 minutes, had a higher XG than the whole Newcastle team for the whole game. That's how many chances Barcola missed. I called him Bacalao. I don't even want to say his name anymore.
Equally, the bad call went against Newcastle at the end. Yeah. So, make it out what you will.
Yeah, exactly.
Manchester City stay perfect with a 3-2 comeback win against Leipzig. Jules, they're not just talented. They have bounce back ability. They don't need to play well for 90 minutes. They can stick it out for 45.
Completely asleep for the first 45 minutes. Made 2 massive mistakes. One Akanji, one Ruben Diaz. That Lois Openda, we said it many times before, is a lovely, lovely player. Took advantage of, and then at 2-0 at half-time, nobody really was worried, let's be honest. Not in the Etihad, not us watching on television. I'm sure Pep wasn't worried because they just blitzed them in that second half. They could have scored more than 3 goals even. Haaland, of course, again with a lovely finish. And then Julian Alvarez and Jeremy Doku making a big difference when they came on, like they did in a reverse fixture in Germany.
I'll say this, though. I thought that second half, if I'm Leipzig, I am really, really angry at myself because you have to do better.
Yeah,
you're Leipzig. You have to do better.
I agree with you. Milan, meanwhile, fall at home to Borussia Dortmund 3-1. And my boy Olivier Giroud misses a penalty at 0-0 as well early on. Gabi, you were there. Was this a case of self-destruction from the Milanese, or you want to praise Dortmund?
I think you have to praise Dortmund because, they took the breaks that came their way. They saw it out. They are top of the group, which I think very few people would have expected. This is not a particularly good Dortmund team. Hummels was heroic, I thought, on the night. I finally understand the purpose of Füllkrug. I'm not 100% on board with them. But equally, Milan, you've got the mitigating factor of the 10+ injuries and no Rafael Leao, whatever. But you have a chance to take the lead at home with Olivier Giroud. You got to score. And then they go and they take the game to the opposition. They have nobody on the bench. They sent on some kid for his debut. The 15-year-old who made his debut at the weekend.
Couldn't even be there.
He wasn't even allowed to be there because the rules say you have to be 16. So I think it's too many missed chances. I think it's crazy that they're likely to go out at this stage when, in fact, they thoroughly outplayed the opposition and probably in
they can go and win away at Newcastle on match day 6 and still
go out.
Yeah, but also still qualify. So
they can still qualify, but crazy. Yeah. All right, Jules, how about some more quick hits?
Yes, let's go.
It's that Bellingham guy again, Jules. He scores 1 goal, sets up another. Real Madrid rolls to a 4-2 win over Napoli to stay a perfect 6 for 6 in the Champions League. I am lost for words.
Are you? Well, I'll tell you what I was not happy with.
Oh, you're going to talk about how he lost Di Lorenzo on the Napoli goal.
Of course.
It was really funny because Billy Costa Curta, after the game last night on Sky Italia, he's talking to Ancelotti and he says, like, what happened was, it's like, he's almost perfect, but he made this mistake on the Di Lorenzo goal.
Yeah, but I'm not happy with the mistake at all. And listen, he made up for it, redeemed himself. The assist for the Joselu goal with the outside of his right foot is just, at that time of the game.
It's ridiculous.
It's incredible. So it's amazing. But I think we are right to be demanding because he's right now the best player in the world, I think, with, if you want, Haaland and Mbappe. So I think we're right to be. This is and knowing I don't know him well at all, but I think you could see the kind of personality that he is. Yeah. He won't be happy himself.
Yeah, I could see him in the dressing room going and being so angry with himself.
No, you're making fun of. It's not that. I think he will not be happy by the fact that his job was to mark Di Lorenzo on that set piece, and he failed. And I think he's a perfectionist. So apart from that little mistake, which I had to point out, the rest was just incredible. I mean, the run and the ball from Alaba and the run on the header is marvelous. Again, the assist for Joselu, and he could have been even better than that. The guy is a freak.
Were you surprised by the fact that Napoli, I mean, they did have something to play for, but under Mazzarri, I was really surprised by how well they played. Kvaratskhelia seemed up for it.
Yeah, Osimhen didn't start, let's not forget. Yeah. And, Giovanni Simone is a good little player, but he's not Osimhen. And at 2-2, they have a chance to go 3-2 up, by the way. So... there's positive as well for Napoli. Copenhagen grab a big point away at Bayern, who have already qualified, and create many chances along the way as well, Gab. Is it fair to judge Bayern just on this performance?
First of all, much praise to Copenhagen. Now, there was a VAR decision at the end, which... could have meant Bayern took all 3 points. Didn't happen. But also Manuel Neuer made a stunning late save. Just when you think Neuer's old, he's packing it in, whatever. No, not quite. So big shout out to Copenhagen. No, I don't think you judge Bayern. I know the whole German mentality. Yeah, we're always at our best, blah, blah, blah. But equally, I thought the players who were out there, who we saw, Goretzka at center back, Matthijs Tel, whatever, these guys have a point to prove. Yeah. And so I thought they were up for it. And no, I'm not going to judge Bayern as a team based on it. We know they've got issues. Their focus right now has to be on the Bundesliga. Yeah. Barcelona have to come from behind to beat Porto 2-1. The Joãos both score, and both teams are very close to advancing. Porto not quite yet. Jules.
No, there will be a big game for Porto against Shaktar coming up on match day 6. For Barcelona, in the context of average results, average performances, let's put it that way, including the one against Rayo Vallecano at the weekend away from home. This is huge. It's huge for Xavi. It's huge for the team. They didn't play particularly well through the whole game. The 2 goals are great goals, especially the Joao Cancelo one, although very predictable, but still great. They would have to play better. There's still a Lewandowski. I mean, what's happening? Like, what is he?
MIA.
What is he doing? So there's more issues to solve, but at least you won, which is huge, because had you not win, I think there would be a lot of criticism.
Yeah, and I think it's also big for the two of them because both of them have been up and down of late. After the very, very bright start,
very true.
I think it's quite liberating as well. And by the way, this team with Frankie de Jong was a different team.
Yeah, of course. Arsenal destroy Lens 6-0. Gab, I feel bad for my friend Joseph Gourlian, the Lens owner, and for Lens in general. That's humiliation. So please, you handle this.
5-0 at halftime, 3 goals in the space of 6 minutes. If we want to pretend
the worst ever defeat for a French club in Europe.
if we want to pretend that Declan Rice isn't an attacking midfielder, then all the attackers scored in this game, and then the little like good buddy friend at the end when they get a penalty and Jorginho who came on as a sub, they let Jorginho take it, knowing of all his penalty misses with Italy. I don't think Arteta could ask for more. I thought this was hugely impressive. A big shout out also to my boy Tomiyasu, who
was taking that place from Ben White. I think he's the starting right back now.
Well, it's funny because I hear a lot of ex-Rose pundits. Soon Whitey's fit again, fully fit, blah blah blah. I'm like, I don't know.
Right. So, but the ball for Martinelli is a fluke, right?
What his goal?
The Martinelli goal, the ball from Tomiyasu. He just kicks the ball away, and he ends up pinpoint on Martinelli's chest.
So when Bellingham does it, it's not a fluke.
I love Tomiyasu, but come on, let's be honest.
Atletico Madrid are also through thanks to a big away win against Feyenoord 3-1. Jules, 2 own goals and either a bit of genius or a fluke from Mario Hermoso, depending on your view.
Going from one fluke, Tomiyasu, to another fluke, there's no way that's what Hermoso wants to do. And
you know what the word Hermoso means, right?
It means beautiful.
This is what he does.
No, it's not what he does. He's not that kind of player at all. He's not that technical. And the way he hits the ball with his foot, you could clearly see that he wants to just put it back towards Morata in the center, in the box. Nothing like that. But hey, it's a great goal. I thought it was a really good performance from Atletico in a difficult environment because that stadium and those fans are very intimidating. So, well done. And they've qualified now as well.
I feel for Feyenoord because I think they've, if we're doing this on points,
I know.
they kind of deserve to go through as well.
Definitely. 2 late goals from Ciro Immobile, who started on the bench, give Lazio a 2-0 win over Celtic. Mauricio Sarri is having a far easier time in Europe than in the league.
Yeah, and you might also wonder, why doesn't Ciro Immobile, why doesn't he play? The guy comes off the bench, scores big goals. He hasn't.
The second one especially.
He's fit again. I know people don't always like him for Italy, blah blah blah. But just look at his scoring record. I don't. This Tati Castellanos business. No, I don't understand. No. That said, yeah, they're through. I think Saudis need to figure out why his team is like this. And by the way, shout out to Celtic. I thought they played really, really well. And they had a big penalty shout as well. And I think Sarri was basically bailed out by Mobile. Wild stuff in Seville, Jules. Yeah. Sergio Ramos opens the scoring and then nearly gets himself sent off because he's Sergio Ramos. PSV go 2 goals down, and then Ricardo Pepi, of all people. Ricardo freaking Pepi scores the winner. Jules, we're going to see Peter Bosz in the knockouts.
We are indeed. Gab, it's remarkable because they were 2-0 down, and Sevilla under Diego Alonso, who's never won a game with that team apart from the Copa del Rey that you and I could have won anyway. 2-0 up. It looks like they're cruising. Then Lucas Ocampos gets sent off a bit stupidly, a bit harshly as well, maybe. And then the game turns on his head, and Vertesen, who came on, is the man, really, because he makes everything happen. The first goal, the second, the Gudel on goal, and then the cross for Pepi. Incredible. Really
that goal as well. Like
the Saibari one.
Yeah,
the goal of the night for me. Vertesen cross, and then if you haven't seen it, the left foot volley inside of his foot.
And that's not a fluke, right? He meant it. That's great technique.
Meant it on the turn.
All right, just wanted to be clear about what's a fluke. Are we wrong about Peter Bosz? Or did you just hope him? Because
come on.
PSV have won every single game they've played.
Yeah, but they were shambles until the Lucas Ocampos red card.
Just checking.
So many comebacks, Gabi. João Mario scores a hat-trick for Benfica against Inter, his former club, who then come back to draw 3-3.
Yeah, this is pretty incredible because Simone Inzaghi decided, rare luxury. We're through. I'm going to play all the scrubs in this game.
Disrespecting the competition.
Well, Benfica have already disrespected it by not scoring a single goal until that point. And they get what they deserve. They go 3-0 down. And then what happens? And then it's substitutions. On comes the cavalry. Yeah. They go back to 3-3. They could have actually won this game, Jules, which I think would have really been harsh on Benfica.
Hit the post, didn't he?
Yeah, Nicolo Barella hitting the post at the end. Simone Inzaghi's onto something, and I think that those people like to get that hour off that they got. Inter are through, as we said, as are Real Sociedad. We're held to a 0-0 draw by Salzburg. Jules, our boy Bryce Mendes, had his moments, though.
Oh, yeah, there's a lovely little move in the second half where he controlled the ball with his soul and then like a little shimmy to go onto his left foot and then the shot, and it's a good save by Schlager. It was not a really good game, I won't lie. It was one of my games on the goal show, partly because there was a lot of rotation and changes from Imanol. There was no Kubo.
Which is more than understandable.
Yeah,
this is not
of
a huge
course,
squad.
of course. And it will all go down to Inter against Real Sociedad at San Siro and match day 6 to just decide who's going to top the group, which, considering what teams are going to finish top of their group, it's important if you're Real Sociedad to try to finish top to avoid the big boys, and same for Inter as well. So that should be a very exciting game, but not much more to say really about that game. But if we come back to the Inter game, Gabby, you want to celebrate Joe Mario and what he did after, not just the hat-trick, but also what he did after the game.
Yeah, so basically, João Mario has become kind of a symbol of Inter have had so many failing eras, so many bad transfers over the years. I don't even think João Mario was that terrible a transfer, but he became kind of the symbol of a certain era of futility at Inter. And then obviously he had his travails and he moved around. But the reality is last season he was exceptional. I think he scored more than 20 goals, which for a midfielder, which even an attacking midfielder is pretty special.
Yeah.
And then he comes here and he scores 3 goals against his old club and the 3-0 up. And I thought, I love that. I thought the storybook stuff, right? And I certainly, that game was going to stay with him forever if Inter had actually beaten Benfica. But remember too, Inter knocked out Benfica in the Champions League quarterfinals last year. There's a lot of bad blood there. Not bad blood, but if you're Benfica, like you don't want to see these guys again.
Yeah.
And then Inter come back to draw 3-3. And after the game, they bring him the ball, right? Because he's gotten the hat trick. And he just takes the ball and he just drops it on the ground and walks away. And I love that. Because he knows individual achievement in this game matters nothing. Yeah, you would have kept the goal. But, João Mario clearly much more team-oriented. Nenad Bielica made his Champions League debut as coach of Union Berlin. And guess what? They got a point away to Braga.
2 games in a row without defeat. Amazing. At the weekend, they drew 1-1 in the 88th minute in the Bundesliga. This time they took the lead, Robin Gosens. And then Braga came back. Braga were a lovely team.
With 10 men, by the way.
Under the rain.
How did they allow the equalizer? You're 1-0 up. You're away from home. You're against 10 men.
The worst is that is the start of the second half. So you're supposed to be in good shape. And yet it's all open. It's just Thiago is just on his own. It's a goal. But at least they didn't lose. And I was going to say they are getting better. I'm not sure if they're really getting better. However, you've stopped that incredible losing streak that you jinxed them with. At least that has stopped now. And I know they're not winning yet, but at least they're not losing, which is a much better improvement than when they lost
you're really
25 in a
the
row
bottom of the barrel there.
13 in a row like that before. So no, you take that away in Portugal. Mikola Matvienko scores the only goal for Shaktar Donetsk, who beat Antwerp 1-0 in Hamburg. Gab, they can still qualify if they beat Porto.
Yeah, and look, it's a big ask and whatever else, but I just want to remind people because I know that the war in Ukraine it's been knocked off the front pages by a lot of things, and Shakhtar, the other Ukrainian teams, they continue to play football, and they continue to have to do it in neutral venues. Yeah. They continue to have to do it basically living out of hotels, in serious hardship. With
massive.
Losing a lot of their players.
Massive.
So this is really tremendous that it comes down to the last game, away to Porto. Anything can happen here.
Yeah.
Anything can happen here. And I just think this is a tremendous story. It's just familiar, and people are kind of bored with, there's still a war. No, there is a war. People on both sides are still dying, soldiers and whatnot, and there's still tremendous hardship going on. And this is really a really, really good story, I think. Young boys beat Red Star Belgrade 2-0, which means they'll get to enjoy some Europa League football in the new year. Jules, this group was always going to be very tough to get out of for both these teams.
Is this really a quick hit?
I kind of feel the need.
Why?
This is why I put it last out of the Champions League game. I felt the need. We got to mention everybody, right? We got to be nice.
Okay, awesome. Well done to Rafael Vicky.
We're very big in Bern, by the way.
We are big in Bern. Good for us. Well done to Rafael Vicky then. It was between them and Red Star,
in
right?
Bern, do you know how screwed up they are in Bern? No. There's a statue. I have a picture of it in my phone. They have a statue of a guy who is eating children. You can Google this. It's on the internet. No. He's like putting children into his mouth and eating them. It's pretty nasty.
Anyway, Leipzig and City were always going to finish the top 2 positions, and young boys on the plastic pitch did just enough to get just about that third place, so well done to them. And now we can see them in the Europa League because you love them so much and their statues so much. So.